Okay. We are set to go, I think. I'm sure I've forgotten something. And we're going to be streaming using just the good old regular OBS Studio. So we'll see if we have more joy with that today. Flying from Havana, Cuba to Belize. Should be an interesting flight. I'm sure we'll speed up the sim rate again at some point. Got all this fired up. Now, I think... Okay. All the lights are on. I think we're all set here. Let's have a look and see. Gosh, I have no idea what the radio frequency is supposed to be. Shoot, that's the one thing that I wish I had looked up. It's usually something like 118.3 or something. Let's try that and see. Chalk 280 radio check. We're close, 118.1. Let's try that and see if we can get somebody on the horn for that. Chalk 280 radio check.
Chalk 280, you are loud and clear.
Good stuff. Chalk 280 ready to copy IFR clearance.
Chalk 280, contact tower on 121.9er. Enjoy.
121.9er, okay. I feel like the music is louder. I don't know why the hell it would be, but, you know. I'll turn it down a bit, at least for me. Chalk 280 ready to copy IFR clearance.
Chalk 280 is cleared to Mike Zulu Bravo Zulu. Climb via the Abin 4 degrees Celsius departure, with the UHA transition, then as filed. Expect departure runway 06. Maintain flight level 060. Squawk 5106.
Chalk 280 is cleared to Mike Zulu Bravo Zulu. Climb via the Aban 4C departure with the UA transition, then as filed. Maintain flight level 060. Squawk 5106.
Chalk 280 read back correct. Altimeter 29092, let us know when you're ready to taxi.
So interesting that I still have issues getting anything other than thousands into my altitude. That's really bizarre. I had fixed that, and then something clearly is broken again. But oh well, it is what it is. Chalk 280 ready to taxi.
Chalk 280 taxi to runway 06 via taxiways Alpha. Hold short runway 06.
Taxi to runway 06 via taxiways Alpha, hold short runway 06, chalk 280. Okay, let's have a quick check into Discord here. We've got some company today. Hey. Can you guys hear me? Cool. You're not on the stream unless you'd like to be. The voice, I mean? No, I mean, what I mean is you shouldn't hear yourself on the stream. So you can still shit talk all you want. Okay. What's the over-under, Sean, that I'm going to make it to the right runway? Well, there is only one runway here, so... Actually, that's not true, but... well, let's see. So it's runway 06, which goes in that direction. So we should be going over to the other side, right? Sure. Good. Yeah, why not? Like, natively doesn't? Oh, sorry, the PS5 one. Oh, okay. Well, I don't know. Yeah, like a third, maybe.
Chalk 280 advise when ready for departure.
Oh, well, I got the right runway, Sean. Chalk 280 ready for departure, runway 06.
Chalk 280 winds are calm, cleared for takeoff. Runway 06, squawk 5106.
Squawk 5106, chalk 280. So are you watching the stream, Sean? Can you send a text message, like a chat message in there? Just want to try something. See if this, my little app's had a little bug in it and I finally figured it out, I think. The app that's supposed to send me your message in the VR cockpit. Doesn't seem to be working. Wonder why it's not working. Oh well. We're gonna go ready for takeoff here. Here we go. We are airborne.
Chalk 280 contact Havana Center on 120.25, Fude.
The center on 120.25, Chalk 280. Chalk 280 climbing through 2,000 for 6,000 feet.
Chalk 280, good afternoon. Squawk 5106.
Yeah, you can still put them in the chat, or you can tell them to me. You just have to let me know, because I'll have to basically take you off mute so that if you want, or you can just tell them. Oh well. Give me a couple minutes to get on track here, because I want to check the chat message app thingy, because I don't know why it's not. Oh, I know why it's not working. Jeez. And I'm a software developer. Should be ashamed. I made an update to the software, but I didn't install it. So, you know. I wrote the code, but I'm still running the old version. Yeah, you can put it in the chat anytime then. Gonna have another look over the airport that we took off from. Hey, baseball diamonds in Cuba, who would have thunk it? Just a handful, yeah. So without increasing the sim rate, this would be a 2-hour flight. But we're definitely going to speed it up a bit once we get off of land, like once we get back over the ocean. Let's see. Fun fact by co-pilot Sean. Belizean folklore tells of a 3-foot-tall evil dwarf called El Duende. The thumbless dwarf is said to hang out in the forest and punish any children who kill animals. Well, that's good. You should get punished for killing animals. And if it's got to be an evil dwarf that does it, then so be it. That'll teach you. Heh. Oh yeah. Oh, like the physical ones? Some of it, not the buttons themselves, but I 3D printed some of the stands and some of the supports. I'm actually using less of the 3D printed stuff now ever since I switched out the throttle that I'm using. Before I had other stuff there, and I mostly had other stuff so that I could have additional monitors hooked up here. Little ones, like, I don't know how well you can see this on the stream. Kind of see it. I'm tapping on these. These are two small 7-inch LCD monitors that I would usually pop out the displays that are in the cockpit onto these, like put the little screens actually on these physical screens. But and I still do that when I fly in 2D, but when I'm flying in VR, I can't see them anyway. so there's no point. But yeah, some of it I sort of cobbled together out of stuff, but I don't know if I ever told you this story, but early on when Flight Simulator 2020 came out, I posted some screenshots on Instagram, and I had a couple of people ask me, well, my brother asked me if I was in Kelowna, because that's where I was like landing with those screenshots, so he was asking me if I'd actually like physically flown there because he thought it was real. And somebody else asked how I got the photo from outside on the wing while the airplane was up in the air. I was like, you know, I just I climbed out. It was the stewardesses were not happy about it at all, but yeah. I can see though, because some of the screenshots are so realistic, and if you just kind of glance at it scrolling through like an Instagram feed or something, I can see how it would take you aback. Yeah, those are the Red Dead screenshots that have made it on the news of like scenic valleys and stuff. Those are amazing. Looks like we're gonna get into some clouds here. Let's have a quick look at the weather radar. Let's turn on the weather radar. Ooh. I think we're gonna be just cutting through the top of it again. That is one thing I really do wish. I wish that the ATC app that I use would tell me to change altitude or even vector me around certain, you know, like weather clusters. Which I think would happen in the real world. I don't know. I mean, typically what I should be doing now is I should actually just ask for a flight level increase, which I think I'm going to do right now. Chalk 280 requesting 10,000 feet.
Chalk 280 climb and maintain flight level 100.
Climb and maintain flight level 100. Chalk 280. Successfully been cleared for 10,000 feet. Which I think will see us... Actually, at 6,000 we probably would have made it over these clouds anyway, but... Well, I think in real life, planes tend to travel at a higher altitude anyways because the air is a lot less choppy. Like, I'm flying over just some hilly terrain right now and it's getting bumpy. Yeah, certain planes fly at higher altitudes for sure, like the little Cessnas, like their max altitude is something like 14,000 feet. So it's not going to go, you know, obviously as high. I think this plane here, I can actually fly like 30,000 feet or higher. I think the highest I've ever taken this one, though, was about 23. And that was also to get away from weather. Yeah, in general, you don't want to fly through clouds or any sort of weather. Even clouds, because at these altitudes, they do contain moisture, I guess, and you do get icing. So, oh, it's bumpy. Jesus. I can share one fun fact I know about Belize, and that is that I think the language most spoken in Belize is actually English. Yeah. Many years ago, somebody's parents bought property down in Belize and had planned to retire there. It seemed like a pretty cool idea. I don't think they actually ever got to do it, but I do know that there was a I don't know where in Belize, but I saw pictures of when they visited there that there was a bar that was a sports bar specializing in Vancouver Canucks games. Like they had Canucks memorabilia all over the little like wooden beach bar kind of thing, and they were showing Canucks games at the time. I mean, all it takes is like somebody to emigrate to a country like that or to live there, right? And you know, they're from Canada and they've got like their favorite team. They'll like, why not? Seems like an interesting way to differentiate yourself from all the other places there. There are certain benefits to being a fan of a sports team that is not as popular in the local area. Another fun fact, Belize has its own version of Bigfoot, or Sasquatch, called El Sisimito. It's a large creature that has no knees, has its feet on backwards, and likes human flesh. That sounds like a story concocted by somebody who was messing around with like their G.I. Joe action figure or something and put everything on backwards. No knees. feet on backwards. I've seen that before, and it's usually when you put the Lego feet on backwards by accident. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go and speed things up a little bit here, I think. It's gonna go switch to heading mode. Ooh, I did not mean to do that. Why did that ATC window pop up? Interesting. You go away. Three times speed is just enough not to seem too crazy. Still enjoy the scenery, but also save a little bit on time.
Chalk 280 contact Havana Center on 135.1. Have a good afternoon.
Center on 135.1, Chalk 280. Chalk 280 at 10,000 feet.
Chalk 280 good afternoon. Squawk 5106.
Yeah, Sean, I still want to get into... I still want to play a game of Among Us with you guys at some point. I still haven't had a chance to try it out. No, I'm sure it's not. It sounds like fun, though. Oh, I know all about frustrating games. But I actually do think that I've kind of sorted this VR thing out, and I've almost got it down to a science now. Really, the last couple of flights, the only thing that was screwing up was actually the streaming software crashing. So I switched to just the base OBS without any fancy stuff. And so far, so good. It actually has a couple of features that I couldn't have with Streamlabs OBS before, a couple of plugins, and
Chalk 280, you are off course.
so it made a few
Turn
things
left
easier.
24 to return to course.
I love sticking my head out the window and having a look at the propeller in the front. Like, it actually feels like I could just reach out and touch the side of the airplane. It's probably not advisable, no, but it looks freaking amazing. Ah, it's so... Rumpo, I do think you need to get yourself a VR headset and play this in VR. I know. Just sounds. He's in the murdering business at the moment. For anybody that's concerned about that, he's playing Hitman 3, which is, from what I understand, an excellent game. He just said something about killing somebody with the
Chalk 280
headphone cords. Yes, this is all video game stuff. I have not yet actually sat in one of the big airliners in VR, and it's something that I'm actually really looking forward to, because the one thing that that really makes it different is the sense of space. So when I first sat in one of the little Cessnas in VR, I was like, oh my god, it's so cramped. Like, I felt so squeezed. Like, I'm a big guy, so it felt like I was, I felt almost claustrophobic inside the tiny little aircraft. The one I'm flying now is a bit more spacious. But that doesn't come across in 2D. Like, before it felt like there's lots of room, and then you do this in VR, and it's like, oh gosh, I'm so close to everything. And the thing that, honestly, the first thing I noticed was like, I don't want to touch anything, because I'm sure that I would just, like, accidentally bump into the yoke, or the throttle, or, like, everything is so close. Yeah, it probably is true. The last time that I was in a Cessna, I don't know what model it was once, but I was, I want to say maybe 14 years old or something like that. So a very long time ago. And obviously scale was different then, but even then I remember it felt small. And I was obviously just a passenger then, and I think I sat I must have sat in the back. They were not winning. Vancouver was not winning. Well, it was 4-2 last I checked. That was before I started the flight, though. And I don't know if you saw that, but Tyler Toffoli has scored 9 goals this year, 8 against Vancouver. And no, he was a free agent, yes. But I think the frustrating part about him leaving to go to Montreal was that what they paid him was something we could have paid him. But my understanding was that the Canucks didn't make him an offer because they were waiting to see how a couple other things were shaken out. And I think, yeah, he didn't want to wait. I guess, you know, things being uncertain and everything. I'm assuming he just said, you know what, Montreal seems like a good idea. They're willing to pay me, I don't know, it's like $3.5 million or something. It's not terrible. So that's why I was a little bit of like that one. All the guys going to Calgary and stuff. I was like, okay, fine, whatever. But Toffoli leaving, that was a bit of a bummer. And then of course it just makes it worse when he's playing apparently his best hockey against us. Yeah, we definitely screwed up. Well, ordinarily, it wouldn't be as big of a deal because we would play Montreal like 4 times a year or something. But, you know, of course now, with the Canadian division, we play them... I believe this is our 4th game against them. It's at the very least our 3rd, so it's got to be the 4th, I think. We're halfway there, but we're going to give this guy like 15 goals on the year just by playing against him. Speeding up the sim rate a bit again here. Now we're flying over the last bit of open water here before I think we're just gonna like fly along the coast of Belize quite a while until we get to our destination there. There isn't a whole lot to see when you've got clouds like this, but there's not a whole lot below us either. It's just water. So at this point, actually, the fluffy clouds are more interesting to look at than just the flat ocean. I actually don't mind this because you get some nice gaps between the clouds. It looks pretty. There is that. Oh, don't give me bad ideas. Yeah, I checked the Apple Watch heart rate yesterday at that landing, and I mean, I don't know if it was higher than normal because I didn't check it before, really, but it wasn't crazy. It was less than that. It wasn't like over 100 or something insane like that. I have seen that though. I have seen people. There are, I guess, like heart rate monitors. 1 second.
On 125.2. Have a nice day.
Center on 125.2. Chalk 280. Chalk 280 at 10,000 feet.
Chalk 280, good afternoon. Squawk 5106.
Sorry, I had to do a frequency change there. I was saying, I don't know if, I'm sure, Rumpo, you've seen these before too, but there are some streamers, especially streamers who play a lot of scary games, they will hook themselves up to like a heart rate monitor and actually display the heart rate on the stream, like as a stat somewhere. Oh, a sports analysis during it. That's pretty funny. I will say though, sports can get you excited. I remember, like, I was there, I was in Rogers Arena for the final home game of the Sedines a few years back. And that was one where they went to overtime and literally won the game through a typical Sedine kind of play, and the Sedine scored. And like that, I don't know what my heart rate was at the time, but it must have been pretty high. And everyone else is in the building too, because the whole thing was just shaking up and down. I haven't had many oh crap moments in Flight Simulator yet, thankfully. I think the biggest one I had was when I ran out of fuel and didn't realize that I had run out of fuel until the engine shut off. Those were my rookie days. Well, that's a good question, because that plane I was flying had 2 fuel tanks, like many do, left and right. But it only draws from 1 tank at a time. And so essentially, I never switched it over. Usually you have to switch the fuel over, you know, so you're using it up evenly. But me not knowing that, didn't pay attention to that, and so I basically ran out of fuel, even though I still had 1 entirely full tank. It just wasn't using it. And even the airplane I'm flying now, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this very well on this stream, but I'm trying to look down there. It's got a left and right fuel tank and a selector, but this plane actually has an auto mode where I think every 5 minutes or so it will automatically switch this from left to right and vice versa. It's one of the switches that I always turn on every time. There's a fuel selector switch up at the top there that is currently set to auto. When it's set to manual, then you just have to do that yourself. But yeah, so even in this airplane, it's technically possible to accidentally drain one of the fuel tanks. So I usually keep an eye on this gauge right in the center there. US gallons, looks like we're just below 50 gallons in each tank. So there is, I mean, you can turn all that stuff off, right? Like you can just turn off fuel consumption and all those things so that you can just do whatever you want, basically. But I've turned on pretty much all the realistic settings, even the stuff that where you can harm the engine in flight. Like if you're abusing it, you know, or you're banking too hard or something. Like, you can actually stress the airframe. But again, those are all optional things. It's 5-3 in the Canucks game. So they're probably going to lose this game, but at least it's not a total blowout. I don't know. Apparently, I guess Montreal's got a really good team this year. Kind of snuck up on me. I didn't really expect that. I guess a lot is riding on Shea Weber and Carey Price, right? Though, to be fair, you can say that about a lot of teams. I mean, there are some teams more dependent than others. We talked the other day about Edmonton and how they're so reliant on their two big scorers and not much else. So we are actually going to be passing by Cancun fairly close. We're not heading to Cancun, unfortunately, but it's just off the side here.
Chalk 280, you are off course. Turn left heading 213 to return to course.
Yes, I know I'm off course. That is true. I can absolutely go to Cancun if I want to. Problem is, as we've discussed before, all the fun things to do when you get there you can't actually do in this game. At this point, I just want a pool with a bar would be pretty good. I've never been in a pool with a bar before. I'm sure I am. I'm sure I am missing out. Though nowadays, I don't think I'd want to go into a pool where anybody else has been in the last, like, 3 months. We're going to go... head back down to 6,000 feet. Chalk 280 requesting 6,000 feet.
Chalk 280 resume navigation. Chalk 280 negative. Your requested altitude is below the minimum for your route. Descend and maintain 8,000 feet.
Descend and maintain 8,000 feet. Chalk 280. So we were denied 6,000 feet, but we can go to 8,000, which is ironic because my entire flight plan had been filed at 6,000. So they're like, that's below your minimum altitude. It's like, but you were gonna let me do it originally, weren't you? Yes, it was a good idea at the time. Actually, 8,000 is probably good. It will keep us above these clouds. The only thing I just never trusted, if I increase my altitude along the way, I worry that ATC is not going to tell me to descend early enough. And there's nothing worse than overshooting an airport because you're way too high and you can see it like a couple of miles in front of you, and you're like, there's no way I can make it down there without, you know, breaking the aircraft or getting terrible reviews from the passengers or whatever airlines, you know, I'm sure there's a Yelp page for airlines. There's actually, so one of the things that I want to do in the future is fly some of the bigger airplanes, right? Like the airliners, like Airbuses and Boeing 747s and all that. But the thing that I always worry about is like, okay, well, you don't really get to do as much sightseeing, I think, as I'm doing now. So what do I do? But there's actually an add-on. Oh, I forgot what it's called already. It's like something loading cargo, self-loading cargo or something. Anyways, it lets you load cargo onto the airplane and passengers as well, and you will basically get live feedback depending on how you're flying. So if you're banking too hard or it's too turbulent, you'll like passengers can scream in the background, like there'll be like audio of them screaming or yelling at you or whatever the case may be. So that seems pretty interesting. I saw somebody post a screenshot on Reddit of their airliner with the doors still open. I guess they had forgotten to close the door. And the caption just said, "I was only alerted to this by the screaming of the passengers." And all but 4 gave a negative review. So the comment was like, I don't know why those 4 people didn't care that the door was open at 10,000 feet or whatever. A little bit of fresh air never hurt anybody. I think up to 10,000 feet you can breathe okay. Above that you need oxygen. Two seatbelts are better than one. No, Cancun is over in that direction, like we've gone past it now. On this map here, it's that Mike uniform November. Or actually, it's just below that. You can see it mentioned there, Cancun. So we've gone past it. I'm not sure what's below us, but just over there is Playa del Carmen. That's one of the, or Playa del Carmen, I don't know. One of the popular vacation spots in Mexico. I used to work with a guy who went there every year in February for like 2 weeks. Another fun fact, the tallest building in Belize is a Mayan temple. Wow, that is actually very interesting. Hey, I guess the question with that is that because it's so impressively tall, or is it just because they haven't bothered building anything else that's tall? I do want to explore, I just saw something today that I need to look up again. There is an app that it's kind of geared towards bush pilots, but, and I think I mentioned it before, that if you fly close to a specific landmark, it will start playing an audio recording of, you know, the description of whatever that thing is. And I saw an update today about that they have something like 1,500 landmarks now globally in that little app. So I gotta have a look and see if any of those are down in this region here in Central and South America. Because I kind of wouldn't mind, that would be kind of cool to see some of those along the way. Yeah, there's one guy that actually creates sightseeing tours for national parks. And those are all meant to be flown in like a really small airplane where you're flying like at 2,000 feet or no higher than that. So you get to actually see a lot of the interesting things up close. It's quite amazing how much the community builds on this platform and extends it and adds features and, you know, third-party add-ons and all these things. I don't think they're going to be integrating most of those.
280, you are off course. Turn left heading 187.
Most of them, like they, I believe Microsoft and Asobo, they see Flight Simulator as more of a platform. The game launched with a built-in marketplace for people to create scenery, airplanes, airports, all kinds of stuff, and actually sell them. And some of it is quite expensive. You could easily pay like $25 for an upgraded visual scenery to an airport. The other day when I was streaming for Shack News and flew to Sydney, I had purchased a scenery pack for Sydney that was like, I think it was $15. But, so I don't think that they're going to be planning on integrating any of those things into the base game. They want people to be able to sell their add-ons for this platform. And of course, many people do it for free because they don't want to charge for it, or it's all done through. I use a lot of add-ons, and I would say that most of the ones that I'm using, I actually have to pay for. There's a lot of people that are willing to do stuff for free for some reason. I don't mind paying for things either. Like I'm in the place where a lot of the useful add-ons I pay something for, and none of it is too much. I guess the Pilot to ATC app is probably the most expensive. I think I paid $40 for that. But then for the Navigraph charts that I use, which let me plot flights more realistically and give me like a nice overview and have all the charts for the airport and stuff, I think that's like a $4.99 subscription a month or something like that. But it's super useful, at least for the stuff that I like doing. Well, that's exactly it. Like when I think about it and see, you know what, $5. I mean, you'd spend more than that on a coffee nowadays. somewhere else, so that's not really that much. So I was, you know, I don't mind, and it's actually really valuable stuff. Like, I get a lot of use out of it. It adds value. So unlike the Nintendo subscription I still have, that I just got charged $5.99 for again.
You are off course.
But I haven't used it forever.
7 to return to course.
I'm sure I could cancel that, but I would have to... I don't even know why I got it initially. It must have been for Animal Crossing? I don't need the Nintendo Plus thing for that, do I? Oh yeah, you do need it to play online to visit other people. Well, I don't even play Animal Crossing anymore either. I should probably just cancel that. But it would make room for another Navigraph subscription or something similar. So I'm sure you didn't just hear that on the stream, Sean, but I just heard a little click in the cockpit, which was the automatic fuel tank selector thing flipping over from one to the other. And it's funny because until I read up about that, I could hear that click every once in a while, and I had no idea what it was. I would like look around and be like, what was that? Why did something just click? What's going on? There's ghosts in the cockpit. I wish the non-existent people on this stream, no offense to you, Sean, could hear this discussion about massage parlor murders in Hitman 3. The NHL 21B Pro is more predictable than Hitman 3. But I do enjoy, like, one of the... And I used to do this a lot, even before the streaming. I would just sit here and fly. And, you know, Rumpo would play something else, and we just hang out and lament or bitch and complain about whatever might be going on, or just share funny things that happened. And Chalk 280 requesting 6,000 feet.
Chalk 280 descend and maintain 6,000 feet.
Descend and maintain 6,000 feet, Chalk 280.
Chalk 280 resume navigation.
Got our descent clearance to 6,000, so I can get back down to my original altitude. I don't know why they didn't let me do it earlier. One of the nice things that Navigraph charts gives me, it shows me what the minimum safe altitudes for every sector that I fly through are. And I always check that, and I think in this case the highest minimum safe altitude was 4,000 feet. So I was like, okay, well, I'll do 6,000 then. You know, I'd like to give myself a couple thousand feet of screw-up room. Oh, it's something you don't, you really learn to appreciate that when you've run out of fuel once. And it's actually amazing because it took me a very long time to realize that that's what happened, because I just started gliding and slowly losing altitude. And I was like, what's happening? I don't know what's happening. Wait, what? There's no McDonald's, Burger King, Starbucks, or KFC in the entire country of Belize. That sounds like a really good idea, actually. It's probably smart, though. I don't know. I don't think I'd want to live where I couldn't, at least once in a while, have some McDonald's. That's terrible for me, but it's so good tasting. A little bit more sim rate up increase here. We're at 6,000 now.
Chalk 280 expect the TAMD-1 Bravo arrival for the RNAV approach to runway 25 with the NOREB transition at Philip S.W. Goldson International after an EP cleared direct TAMU.
Cleared direct TAMU, Chalk 280.
Chalk 280 contact Central America Center on 123.9er. Have a good afternoon.
Center on 123.9er, Chalk 280. Chalk 280 at 6,000 feet.
Chalk 280 good afternoon. Squawk 5106.
Oh, I think this is actually showing country borders now as well, so we're technically right now flying over Mexico still, I believe, but we're about to cross into Belize. And there's Corozal, which I think is the capital of Belize. Corozal. No, it's not the capital. Yeah, you're right. You know, as soon as I started thinking about that, it's like, wait a minute, all my flights land in the capital of the country, or as close to the capital as possible. So I was like, well, we would be landing in Corozal if this was the capital. Maybe that is where those folks that I knew went to. I just know that that city and his name sounds very familiar. I'm just chilling on the outside of my aircraft, enjoying this. We've only got a few minutes and then we're starting our arrival. This is such a cool looking airplane. I don't know, it's got a really, first of all, it's got a really large tail. The rudder is huge. It's interesting. And I like the paint job, which I did that myself, but so I'm very happy with it. Yeah, well, I did just find this around the world logo that I googled and found, and it's very pretty. But it is, I think it's one of the more interesting looking sort of general aviation aircraft, the smaller ones. Oh, here, I'll show you where the stickers are. No, they're in the back there, which would be the passenger door. I can't really get much closer in VR without actually like jamming my head into the monitor in front of me. So, but you should be able to see them. I suppose the other thing I actually could do if I wasn't tethered to a cable and in a very small room, I could actually turn this way, stick my head out the window, and if I took a few steps, I could actually walk over there. So I wish that I had a really large room for VR, because then I could actually get up out of this pilot seat and walk into the back of the airplane. I've seen pictures of people who have like set up a couch behind themselves, and they just go back there and basically sit in the back of the airplane. But they're physically sitting on a couch because of the way the VR stuff works, right? You're actually moving in real space and through your virtual airplane. So you just need a lot of extra space to be able to pull that off. But it's technically doable because the entire airplane is rendered. Like, I mean, I'm sure you've seen that. Like, I can turn around and I can see the seats behind me. So if I physically had a couch about, I don't know, 5 or 6 feet behind me, I could walk over there and sit in one of those seats, which would be pretty cool. At that point, though, what I really want is, so once something...
Contact Goldson approach on 121.0. Have a good one.
Approach on 121.0, Chalk 280.
Chalk 280 contact Goldson approach on 121.0. Have a good one.
Chalk 280 at 6,000 feet.
Chalk 280, good afternoon. Squawk 5106.
Sean, there is a VR game called Star Trek Bridge Crew, and in that game, it's a multiplayer online game in VR where everybody takes on a different role of a crew member on a Star Trek spaceship, right? And you actually see people sitting there, and you can see their hands move and stuff and what they're doing. Which is, I own it. Like I think I bought it a couple times on different platforms. I've never played it because I've never found anybody else that had it. I think Tony, a friend of mine, has it, but we never got around to doing it.
280 descend via the tab 1B arrival to 4,000 feet altimeter 2992 at Philip SW Gold So International.
Descend to 4,000 feet, Chalk 280.
Chalk 280 Squawk 5106 continue descent via the tab 1 Bravo arrival. For the RAV approach to runway 25 with the OEB transition at Philip SW Gold So International.
Roger, Chalk 280. So anyways, this Star Trek Bridge Crew stuff seems really cool. So what I would love to see, like the ultimate would be to be able to play this game in VR, multiplayer with somebody else in VR, and actually be able to look over there and see, you know, them react based on what they're doing in their VR headset. So if they're looking over to me or something, and actually have the hands in the game so that if they're pushing buttons, I can see that, and if I'm pushing buttons, they can see that. That would be like the dream. It's probably not happening anytime soon, but, you know, I'm sure it will happen at some point. I think all of that stuff is technically feasible. It's just the problem is making it do that while still rendering the entire world, basically, and letting you fly wherever you want to. So, like, it's already very demanding as it is with just one person in the game. But you'd have to think that, like, the previous simulator, I think, is 10 years old now, the one that Microsoft made before this. You got to think that 10 years from now, this will, you know, the next one or this one will be even more advanced. Sorry, I'm just, we have sort of begun our approach. Down to 4,000 right now. The water out here definitely has a different color than like the water off the coast of Vancouver Island or whatever that whatever the big lake that Toronto sits on is. Well, I don't feel so bad that I don't know. You're guessing at it.
Chalk 280 altimeter 2992 cleared for the RAV approach to runway 25 with the OEB transition at Philip SW Gold So International.
Cleared for the RNAV approach to runway 25, Chalk 280. So we just got cleared for our approach. We're still at 4,000 feet, so I'm thinking at some point they're gonna tell us to descend some more. Descending before landing is always a good idea. And ideally we do it in a nice gradual manner. Like I've said many times before, this aircraft lets you you can get away with quite a bit because you can still slow down and lose altitude, but when you're flying even like a mid-sized or small jet, they don't slow down fast, and it's very easy to overshoot things. They are fun to fly though, so speedy. This is the second time that there's been 3 viewers. I don't know who the elusive third viewer is. I think one of them is the music bot.
Chalk to 80 descend via the OF transition to 4,000 feet. Altimeter 2992 at Philip SW Goldso International Contact Tower on 118.0. Have a good afternoon.
Contact tower on 118.0, chalk to 80.
Chalk to 80 frequency is 118.0.
Chalk 280 at 3,000 feet.
Chalk 280, good afternoon. Squawk 5106, continue nav to runway 25, call when established on final.
Will call when established on final, chalk 280.
Chalk 280, this is Goldson Tower on 118.0, please repeat your request.
We're about to turn onto our final leg here for the landing. I don't...
Chalk 280, slow to 210 knots or less.
Slow to 210 knots or less, chalk 280.
Chalk 280, maintain 210 knots.
Roger, chalk 280. Getting yelled at for flying too fast here. They like maintain 210 knots. We're going 250. Alright. Oh, we're swinging pretty wide here. That was quite the tight turn, I guess. One level of flaps. Belize City Municipal Airport, that's not where we're landing. Though also an interesting... Get to see a little bit of the city over there. Mildly concerned that we are swinging so wide, but we should be okay, I'm hoping. We're really, we're pretty close to this runway. Whoa. Whoa. Okay, we got the glide slope. Okay. Okay. Glide slope, so it's like a GPS based system that actually takes over my autopilot when it's connected to it, and it chooses the descent rate for me, and it puts me on a glide slope that has been determined to be a smooth, you know, slope to land at the runway. So it's like capturing it, like when you get to that, the aircraft suddenly jerks down a little bit and it's now on a path that I'm not doing anything, so that way you get a nice easy descent into the airport. We're tracking a little bit off course though at the moment. Anyway, so whenever I capture the glide slope, when I say that, it's like that basically means yes, we're going to have a nice vertical approach anyways, and the horizontal, like left and right, is already done by the GPS as well. I've got the runway in sight now. That's good. I need more flaps. We're coming in too fast.
Chalk 280, winds are calm, cleared to land runway
Yes,
25.
at this point I'm just playing with the throttle. Cleared to land runway 25, chalk 280. And then at some point though, like, this autopilot will take you down pretty close. But at some point you should turn it off and then actually manually fly the aircraft to land properly, because, you know, that's just prudent. And we're coming in, we've got like some major crosswinds again, because look at this outside angle. We're coming in at a crazy angle. And that gets harder to maintain at this strange angle when I don't have the autopilot going. But we're coming in at a good speed. It's a reasonably long runway. It's starting to straighten us out a little bit, so I'm going to be turning off the autopilot here right now. Autopilot is off. Yeah. I'm at the point now where I ignore everything you guys are saying, because all I'm doing is trying to land this thing. Landing in VR is a lot easier though because of the depth perception. It really helps out a lot. Okay, we're over the runway. Throttle way down. Keep the nose up a bit.
Chalk 280X.
Perfect landing. And we've slowed down already. Brilliant. We made it. I'll try not to drive on the grass today. Shock 280, clear of active runway. Shock 280, request taxi to parking.
Chalk 280, contact Goldson ground on 121.9 for taxi clearance.
Shock 280, ready to taxi to parking.
Chalk 280, taxi to general aviation parking via taxiways Alpha.
Yeah, they just told me to go park in general aviation parking, but I see my two friends in the yellow vests over here. So we're gonna try to park next to them. Let's see. Those guys will actually wave you in properly with the like the glow sticks, the light ones or whatever, if you do it right. Oh, a little bit to the right. Okay. Oh, good. And stop. The things you hear in Discord that nobody else can hear is amazing. Anyways, we have successfully landed in Belize after a successful flight. Nothing really went wrong. The VR thing held up solidly. The stream didn't crash. OBS Studio worked. The chat worked. I'm sure that my custom application would have worked if I had installed it properly. So, having said all that, we're going to call it a night here. And catch you all next time. Take care of yourselves.